after my wife gained telepathic abilities. My wife, Shen Wanwan, was after my family's connections and resources. Even though I was a mute, she still married me. I knew that deep down, she was disgusted by me. Coincidentally, I loathed her entire family. Although I couldn't speak, I cursed her whole family in my mind every day right in front of their faces. At that time, I didn't know she had telepathic abilities. Until one time, when I received my medical examination report, I secretly cursed in my heart. As expected, bad people live the longest. Shin Wan, I'm going to die before you. At that moment, I saw a look of panic appear on her usually calm face. I was born a mute. My parents were extremely worried about my marriage. Fortunately, the Fu family was wealthy and powerful, so I didn't have to worry about not being able to find a wife. I originally thought of finding a gentle and virtuous woman to spend the rest of my life with. But I didn't expect that the elders would choose the eldest daughter of the Shen family, Shen Wanwan, for me. I remember gesturing wildly when I heard this news. Shin Wanwan and I were mortal enemies, and she also had a childhood sweetheart boyfriend. What was it supposed to mean for me to interfere like this? I only hoped to spend the rest of my life in peace and quiet. I didn't want to be dragged into their love affair. Unfortunately, I was a mute, and no one cared about my thoughts. So, under the matchmaking of both sets of elders, I married Shen Wanwan. On the day of the wedding banquet, I stood next to Shen Wanwan with a dark face. Fortunately, she couldn't smile either. The two of us wore long faces as we accepted the blessings of the guests. Until Hian appeared. A hint of a smile appeared on Shen Wanwan's dead face. How disgusting, dressed like a groom. Anyone who didn't know would think he was getting married today. I kept cursing Hian in my heart. Shin Wanwan suddenly turned to look at me, a warning in her eyes. I didn't understand what had happened, and gestured with my eyes to ask her what was wrong. Shin Wanwan's warning gaze drifted over again, her tone slightly angry. Show some respect when you speak. How ridiculous. I was a mute. What did I say? I continued to curse Hian in my heart, along with Shen Wanwan. But on the surface, I pretended to be calm and asked her in sign language. What? What happened? Shen Wanwan's face darkened, and she said, word by word, Fu Xingzhao, are you cursing us in your heart? Damn, does Shen Wanwan have telepathic abilities? I glanced at her out of the corner of my eye and continued to think in my heart. A novel plot come to life? This woman can read minds? Although I thought so in my heart, I still pretended to be puzzled on the surface. I don't believe you can reveal what I'm thinking in public. I was sure she didn't have the ability, so I continued to curse her in my heart, even cursing the entire Shen family. Fu Xingzhao, if you don't want anyone to know, don't do it. Shen Wanwan dropped these words and took Hian to toast the other business tycoons at their tables. The way they looked so affectionate, anyone who didn't know would think it was their wedding day. When the party ended, Hian's longing for Shen Wanwan was practically written all over his face. Shen Wanwan's parents also walked to the door to see us off. Seeing the two of them so lovey-dovey, not only did they not say anything, but Shen Wanwan's mother even smiled and pulled me to leave first. Fu Xingzhao, they haven't seen each other in a long time. Let them chat a bit, we'll wait for them in the car. I nodded with a smile. Inner thought, like mother, like daughter, a shameless daughter indeed has a shameless mother. Shen Wanwan. I noticed her face darken, but I only thought she was unhappy because I was walking too slowly, never even considering the possibility of mind reading. When I waved goodbye to her, I also cursed her dad in my mind. The father of a stupid daughter is also stupid. Shen Wanwan. Her mother and I waited in the car for more than half an hour. Shen Wanwan and her father finally came over slowly. She said to her mother, Fu Xingzhao and I are going back to our place. Her mother was stunned for a moment, and just as she was about to ask more, her father stopped her with a look. Her mother understood and smiled meaningfully. Okay, you two go back and sleep together. As soon as I got out of the car, their car sped away. Shen Wanwan stood there, with no intention of going home at all. I looked at her, puzzled. Shen Wanwan, you not only have opinions about Hian, but you also have opinions about my parents? Question mark. How did she know who I was cursing in my mind? I looked at Shen Wanwan with even more confusion. But Shen Wanwan didn't tell me that she had mind-reading abilities. She just coldly warned me, don't make things difficult for Hian. He was already heartbroken enough when I broke up with him. How heartbroken was he? Probably cried for 2 minutes. Then he said affectionately to Shen Wanwan, even if you marry someone else, I will always wait for you. Hian was dressed up today and deliberately posted on his WeChat moments, wearing a suit and standing in the same place as you. Can that be considered being your groom too? That post is currently pinned at the top of his WeChat moments. It is his most ardent love for Shen Wanwan and also my greatest insult. Based on this alone, even if I really made things difficult for him, it would be reasonable, right? Yet, Shen Wanwan came to warn me for his sake. I sneered inwardly and boldly opened my mental mic. Since you love each other so much, why don't you have the courage to ask me for a divorce? If it weren't for putting my mother at ease, I wouldn't have married you. You're such a stupid fool, and you still have the nerve to Zhan me for being mute? You have a mouth and can speak, but I haven't heard you say a few sensible words. Fu Xingzhao. Shen Wanwan finally couldn't bear it anymore and called my name through gritted teeth. I was immersed in cursing and was startled. I only used my eyes to ask her, what's wrong? Shen Wanwan, you call me a stupid fool? Although what I said was true, the feeling of being caught on the spot was still very embarrassing. I used sign language to ask Shen Wanwan, how did you know I was calling you an idiot? Shen Wanwan. She didn't want to reveal her mind-reading abilities, so she forced an excuse. I can tell from your expression. My face is apparently very vulgar when I'm cursing. I suspiciously touched my face, unable to believe that my expression management had suddenly become so poor. Then, I put on a sincere smile and simultaneously told her in sign language, I didn't call you an idiot. Shen Wanwan closed her eyes, looking like she was internally injured by my words, but helpless to do anything about it. I pretended not to notice anything and turned to walk towards the car on my own. But my mood was like this endless night, with no end in sight and no glimmer of dawn. I always knew that Shen Wanwan married me for money. She disliked that I was a mute. Fortunately, I didn't like her either. For the past year or so of our relationship, all my patience has been an act. The doctor said that my mother didn't have much time left, about 3 months. I didn't want her to have any more worries during this last stretch. Even if I hated Shen Wanwan, even if I didn't want to marry Shen Wanwan at all, I could endure it for my mother's sake. However, fate didn't seem to be on my side. I was diagnosed with cancer. The doctor who had been helping my mother was even more upset than I was. Fu Xingzhao, you're so young. How could this? How could this be? I was also very sad. But while I was sad, I was also a little happy. If I died too, then I could be with my mother again. That would be very good. That night, I stayed at the hospital. It was very late when I received a call from an unknown number. It was a friend of Shin Wanwan's calling. She said, brother-in-law, Wanwan is drunk. Can you come and pick her up? Someone next to her urgently reminded her. Are you stupid? Brother-in-law is mute. He can't speak. How do you expect him to answer you? Oh. Her tone was tinged with some embarrassment. Brother-in-law, I'm sorry. Can you come pick her up? To send a message. Originally, I didn't want to bother. But maybe because I was dying, those long-repressed desires suddenly surged up. I wanted to get a divorce from Shen Wanwan as soon as possible. She should agree too. It's just that there is now a cooling-off period for divorce. A month, which isn't long, but for me, it's too precious. I want to break clean from Shen Wanwan before I died. So I wouldn't have to be a ghost of the Fu family after death. So I went to pick Shen Wanwan up and brought her home. She was very drunk and obediently lay on the sofa. In the past, at times like this, I would go to the kitchen to make her a bowl of sobering soup, then help her change her clothes and help her to bed. But today I just sat quietly on the side. I was waiting for her to sober up and then immediately ask her for a divorce. Spoiled since childhood, Shin Wanwan was also well taken care of after marrying me. After lying on the sofa for a short while, she felt uncomfortable and sat up with a frown. I stared at her intently. Perhaps my gaze was too cold at that moment. When our eyes suddenly met, Shen Wanwan was stunned for a moment, as if some of her drunkenness had worn off. "Why are you staring at me?" she asked with some impatience. I signed to her, "Let's get a divorce." Shen Wanwan didn't understand. In the year we had lived together, she knew very little about me. She couldn't understand the slightly more complex or less frequently used signs, because she had never wanted to understand. I couldn't help but sneer inwardly. It's so tiring to communicate with an idiot. Shen Wanwan. I turned to pick up my phone and typed a line for her to read. Shen Wanwan was not yet fully sober, and when she suddenly saw the words divorce, she was a little confused. Divorce? Who's divorcing whom? I pointed at her, then at myself. This time, Shen Wanwan finally understood, but she couldn't believe that I, a mute, would dare to mention divorce to her. She laughed angrily. "You don't think that after divorcing me, there'll be plenty of women waiting to pick you, do you?" I shook my head, but my eyes remained firm. Shen Wanwan was even more angry. "Okay, I agree to a divorce, but none of the things we agreed upon before can change, and your family's investment is not refundable." I nodded. "Let those funds be used to buy my mother more than a year of happiness." Although it was a bit expensive, the deal was done, and there was no reason to ask for a refund. Shen Wanwan expressed 12,000% of doubt about my behavior. Her speaking speed even slowed down. "Fu Xing Zhaoye, why do you suddenly want a divorce?" This question should have been asked first, if she had even a little bit of affection for me. Because she didn't love me, she expressed her anger first, and then asked the reason. I didn't answer, just smiled at her. As I got up, Shen Wanwan grabbed my wrist and asked again, "Why do you suddenly insist on getting a divorce?" A huge loss, with no reason, and then suddenly she brought up divorce. She must have been used to being the center of attention, so she couldn't accept being dumped by a mute. But if she thought about it carefully, she should be happy. After the divorce, she could be with Hian openly. Wedding, status, everything Hian wanted, she could finally give. How wonderful! I remember when the Fu family first came to propose marriage, I thought about living a good life with Shen Wanwan. Even without love, it would be good to live a respectful and stable life together. Outsiders only see that my family is very rich now, but they don't know that when my dad just passed away, my mom and I were almost killed. My mom was always worried that no one would want me, and even more worried that I would be bullied after marriage. So she did everything she could to help the Shun family, to help Shin Wanwan, just hoping that I could be happy, even happier after marriage. Unfortunately, on the wedding day, I suffered all kinds of embarrassment. I once mentioned to Shen Wanwan that I hoped she could negotiate with Hian and have him delete the top post on his moments. But Shen Wanwan said, "It's other people's freedom to post whatever they want. Why should you control him? Also, what I do and don't do is also my freedom. Don't interfere with me." It was from that moment that I realized that Shen Wanwan didn't even have the qualifications to live with me respectfully. After that, I never bothered with her again. But in Shen Wanwan's eyes, my existence was a kind of constraint on her. Fortunately, this constraint will be lifted now. Shen Wanwan, I'm dying. You're finally free. As my thoughts faded, Shen Wanwan, who was holding my hand, suddenly let go. Her eyes were full of shock, but I didn't know she had heard my thoughts. I was glad that she didn't ask the reason for the divorce, so I didn't have to explain. After all, she doesn't love me, doesn't care about me, so why would she care if I live or die? Saying too much would only cheapen myself. I turned around and walked toward the upstairs bedroom, step by step. With each step, I couldn't help but sigh. It's a pity about her face. If she had better character, she would be invincible. Hian probably doesn't love her that much either. Otherwise, how could he bear to let her bear the infamy of cheating? It's good that they're stuck together. After they're done harming me, at least they won't harm others. It's just, what a pity. Coming to this world, I don't even know what love is all about. If I had met a better person, I might have been able to experience it once. Shen Wanwan is not worthy. After I went back to my room to sleep, Shen Wanwan went out to find a friend. The other party had grown up with her since childhood and guessed that she was in a bad mood just by looking at her face. Moreover, she smelled strongly of alcohol, and her clothes were also messy. Su Yi asked her, "Did you quarrel with Fu Xingzhao?" Shen Wanwan glanced at her sideways. She was annoyed that she guessed right, and annoyed that she didn't guess right. A divorce proposal is much more serious than a quarrel. Also, Fu Xingzhao is sick, seemingly seriously. Shen Wanwan picked up the glass in front of her and drank it all in one gulp. However, the familiar taste of alcohol did not come, only a fragrance of tea. Only then did she remember that she and Su Yi were drinking tea, not alcohol. "Why did you suddenly quit drinking?" "Su Yi, what do you mean suddenly? I quit 2 years ago." "But 2 years ago, when you quit, it was very sudden." Su Yi didn't answer. Shen Wanwan said again, "If I remember correctly, you quit drinking because of Wei Nanshin, right? Did he have such a big impact on you?" Su Yi also glanced at her sideways. "Why are you so talkative even when drinking tea?" Shen Wanwan chuckled softly. After a long while, Su Yi suddenly said again, "The impact is very big. He's gone. My life seems to be dead. But when he was by your side, I didn't see you cherish him much. So cherish it early, and so should you." They were ranked by age in that group of people. Although Su Yi was their eldest sister, she rarely preached, especially in matters of love. Perhaps it was because everyone was unhappy at this early morning that they rarely opened up. "Wanwan, what do you really think about Fu Xingzhao and Hian? "I haven't felt anything for Hian for a long time. It's just that the breakup was too sudden at that time, and it was a big blow to him. I feel sorry for him and want to compensate him a little." "What about Fu Xingzhao?" "Fu Xingzhao." Shen Wanwan pondered for a long time and couldn't say why. Su Yi guessed. "Used to it? Did love develop over time?" Shen Wanwan, "Maybe a little. It was only after I suddenly proposed a divorce tonight that she belatedly realized how terrible habit is." At that moment, the scene of returning home from work in the future and finding the house empty flashed through her mind, making her inexplicably irritable. So Su Yi persuaded her, "Since you've let go of your ex, don't hurt the people around you." Shen Wanwan, "Why are you suddenly so full of wisdom?" "Because I've lost something. Listen to your sister's advice. Treat Fu Xingzhao well, or you'll regret it." Shen Wanwan, "I'll regret my ass." Su Yi sneered, "You better keep being so stubborn." The next day, I woke up and found that Shen Wanwan wasn't there, so I sent her a message. "Where did you go?" Shen Wanwan didn't reply. After a while, there was a sound outside the door. I thought Shen Wanwan was back. After all, we talked about divorce last night, and she seemed to agree. Today, we should go to the Civil Affairs Bureau. But when I opened the door, I saw that the person standing outside was Hian. He has never been very friendly to me. Without Shen Wanwan by his side, he was even more unscrupulous in his sarcasm. "Let's talk." "Oh, I almost forgot. You're a mute." Like Shen Wanwan, he has a mouth to speak, but he doesn't know how to speak human language. "But I really want to know, what does he want to talk to me about? And with what qualifications?" I stepped aside and motioned for him to come in. Hian raised his eyebrows in slight surprise, then entered the house and sat on the sofa. I turned to get paper and pen, ready to use them to communicate with him later. Hian opened his mouth and asked, "A guest is here. Aren't you going to pour a glass of water?" "What kind of guest is he?" "Luckily, I don't love Shen Wanwan, otherwise he would be the enemy." I smiled and wrote, "Get to the point, don't waste time." Hian immediately sneered. "What? You think you can rest easy for the rest of your life after marrying Wanwan? You will get divorced sooner or later. It was your Wanwan who married me that gave her temporary peace of mind. If my family hadn't invested, the Shen family would have gone bankrupt long ago. Although the Shen family has recovered now, they wouldn't dare to kick me away. If I didn't bring up the divorce, Shin Wanwan would probably stay with me forever. What does Hian think he is?" I looked over coldly. No tension, no harsh words. But the difference in status was vividly displayed in a single glance. Hian was provoked by me and suddenly stood up. "Don't you just have some money? But no matter how much money you have, you're still a mute." I asked Wanwan, "You've been married for over a year, and she's never let you touch her. Even if you don't get divorced, you can't have children. Your father is dead, and your mother is dying soon. And when you die, everything you have will. Slap. A crisp slap echoed throughout the living room. Hian was knocked onto the sofa by my slap. He covered his face, unable to get up for a good while. I hit him hard, my own palm was numb. Who told him to bring up my parents? He wants Shen Wanwan. I can give her to him. But he mentioned my family and talked about dying or not. He deserved to be beaten. After regaining his senses, Hian started cursing at me. He actually wanted to hit me. But a sound came from outside the door. She knew Shen Wanwan was back. So, he had to play his grievance to the extreme. Shin Wanwan didn't disappoint him. As soon as she entered and saw the slap mark on his face, she immediately rushed at me and asked, Fu Xingzhao, what are you doing? Here we go again. I don't know how many times this kind of scene has played out. Sometimes I even feel like I'm a part of their affair game, making it more thrilling for them. But today, I don't want to play anymore. I turned around, picked up my phone, unlocked it, and started playing a recording. It was every time Hian was alone with me, his mockery, humiliation, and abuse. Those extremely nasty words, accompanied by sneers, flowed smoothly from Hian's mouth, sentence by sentence. Hian was dumbfounded. Shen Wanwan was also dumbfounded. Before the recording finished, Hian had regained his senses and tried to snatch my phone. Hian, Shen Wanwan finally spoke, her cold and kind tone revealing restrained anger. Hian looked at her in panic, forcibly arguing, Wanwan, I didn't say those words. He synthesized them. He's slandering me. Shen Wanwan closed her eyes. Get out. Wanwan. Get out. Don't make me say it a third time. Hian bit his lip, and large tears fell down. His acting is really good. He can cry whenever he wants. If he entered the entertainment industry, he might even win an Oscar. After Hian left, Shen Wanwan, seeing my cold face, spoke softly, a rare occurrence. Fu Xingzhao, let's talk. Saying the same things as Hian, even more annoying. I sneered, picked up the paper and pen from before, and wrote a line. There's nothing to talk about except for the divorce. Shen Wanwan, I went to the hospital this morning to see your mom. More than a year into the marriage, this was the first time she went to see my mom alone. After I brought up the divorce, I felt no surprise, only disgust. I agreed to all the conditions you set. Why did you go see my mom? Shen Wanwan, your mom doesn't know about your illness, does she? How did she know I was sick? I was so shocked that I stood up abruptly, the calmness on my face shattered into pieces. Shen Wanwan raised her eyes and stared at me, saying each word clearly, you don't need to write. I can hear what you're thinking. This wasn't just shocking, it was a complete paradigm shift. No wonder she would confront me whenever I cursed her dad, her mom, or Hian in my mind. So, she had heard every word I cursed crystal clear. Since when have you been able to hear? Half a year ago, the night you came back from the hospital, my mom's condition suddenly deteriorated that day. The doctor said at the time that there was another treatment option, which we could try. But the chances of success weren't great. That night, after my mom fell asleep, I sat by her bedside until 2 in the morning. The caregiver, who had originally gone home to sleep, suddenly returned to the hospital in the middle of the night. She held my hand and said, Fu Xingzhao, I'm worried about you. A paid outsider crawling out of a warm bed in the middle of the night just because she was worried about me. And Shen Wanwan was out drinking and got completely drunk that night. With Hian openly posted it on his WeChat moments. They were reveling, but I was in unspeakable pain, unable to even cry out loud. I never imagined that Shen Wanwan's ability to read minds started that day. That night, I arrived home at 4 in the morning, and she had just arrived as well. I vaguely remember her muttering something softly, seemingly because I had a bad look on my face. At the time, I was too upset and thought she was complaining that I hadn't taken care of her while she was drunk. Only today did I realize that she saw how terrible I looked and asked me what was wrong. I ignored her, but in that instant, she heard the thoughts in my head. Why did my mom have to get sick? Shen Wanwan is such a bastard. She should be the one who's sick. She's the one who deserves to die. Shen Wanwan. At first, she couldn't believe she could hear my thoughts. Only after hearing them again and again did she gradually get used to it. Moreover, I was always smiling on the outside, but cursing a blue streak on the inside. 8 out of 10 of my inner thoughts were cursing her. The other 2 times, I was cursing her parents and Hian. Shen Wanwan said, "I always thought you were a very petty person. You couldn't stand the fact that Hian and I were still friends after we broke up, and you were always secretly cursing him in your heart. I didn't know that he cursed you too. He cursed me a lot, and his curses were really nasty. But neither she nor Hian realized that I was recording everything. I recorded every single time. I didn't originally plan to use them to take down Hian. I just thought it would be good to have something on hand, so that if something really happened, I wouldn't be completely passive. But Hian insisted on delivering himself to my doorstep to be taken down. So if I didn't take him down, wouldn't he become even more arrogant in the future? I looked at Shen Wanwan coldly and directly asked her my thoughts. Now that you know everything, what are you going to do? Shin Wanwan pursed her lips, hesitant to speak. She didn't want to talk about Hian, so I didn't press her. Instead, I asked her, when are we going to the Civil Affairs Bureau to complete the procedures? Shen Wanwan, Fu Xingzhao, you should focus on getting treatment right now. What I do or don't do is none of your business. Those were the words she had said to me before, and now I was returning them to her. After saying that, I didn't care about her reaction and got up to leave. Shen Wanwan called out to me from behind. Fu Xingzhao, where are you going? Mind your own business, idiot. Shen Wanwan. I went to the hospital. The caregiver saw me and greeted me with a smile. Miss Shun was here this morning. I nodded. She wasn't surprised to see me and asked softly, are you two back together? I shook my head, took out my phone, and typed a line for her to read. We're getting a divorce. The caregiver was startled and squeezed my hand. Did she ask for it? No, I did. I don't want Shin Wan. Even if she looks outstanding and capable in the eyes of others, she doesn't love me or care about me, so I don't want her. The caregiver saw my firm expression and guessed what was going on. She said with sympathy, then what will you do in the future? Dad is already gone, Mom is leaving too, and I'm plagued with serious illness. Even with a lot of money, I can't buy a caring person. The caregiver seemed even sadder than I was. Her eyes were red. I lowered my head, not daring to look into her eyes. I was afraid that if our eyes met, I would cry. But my cry is silent. The silent pain is like a boomerang, flowing out with tears and invisibly stabbing back into my heart. I was too familiar with that feeling. It hurt so much, I wished I could die right away. The caregiver said that Shen Wanwan had a long, private conversation with my mother in the morning. After Shen Wanwan left, my mother secretly wiped away her tears. The caregiver didn't dare to ask more, afraid of making my mother even sadder. But I wanted to know. I typed a message to my mom. What did Shen Wanwan say to you this morning? What else could she say? My mother smiled brightly. She said your relationship has been heating up recently, and that I should wait to hold my grandson. She won't. Why not? My mother gave me a gentle glare. Didn't you always say Wanwan was good to you before? That was all I made up. To make the lie more convincing, I even bought myself some gifts and pretended they were from Shen Wanwan. In my mother's eyes, Shen Wanwan was a little busy, but she was still nice to me. Now, I have to expose my own lies. Mom, Shen Wanwan and I are getting a divorce. My mother wasn't too shocked, just slightly surprised, and then asked me softly, did Wanwan bully you? The person she likes isn't me. I see. My mother reached out and hugged me, and the composure she had been trying to maintain collapsed in an instant. She choked up. Our Fu Xingzhao is so good. It's her loss that she doesn't like you. It's just hard on you, enduring this for so long for Mom's sake. I shook my head, not feeling tired at all. Although Shen Wanwan was still entangled with Hian after the marriage, I don't love her. So I won't be sad. I just find it ridiculous. The only thing that makes me sad is that I didn't ask for a divorce sooner. I didn't tell my mother the truth sooner. So that my mother heard the sentence, she doesn't like me, from Shen Wanwan's mouth. I bet my mother must have been very sad when Shen Wanwan said that this morning. The treasure she held in her hands was so disliked by someone else. My mother cried, and I cried too. But my mother comforted me while crying. It's okay. Our Fu Xing Zhao is so good. You'll definitely meet someone better in the future. Just let that Shun regret it. I nodded with a smile. But deep down, I knew very well that Shen Wanwan wouldn't regret it. And I have no future. Shin Wanwan was probably worried about funding, so she kept dragging her feet on the divorce. I sent her several messages, but she either said she was busy or didn't reply. Beyond the limits of my patience, I brought up the divorce to her parents. Then, her parents blew up. We've always turned a blind eye to what's going on between you and Hian, but you have to know your limits. Don't let Fu Xing Zhao get overwhelmed. If he makes a big scene, the public will definitely sympathize with him more, because he's a single parent and mute. It will affect your reputation and, even more, the company's stock price. Go apologize to Fu Xing Zhao immediately. No matter what, you can't get divorced. After scolding Shin Wanwan, they turned around and tried to play the sympathy card with me. They brought a lot of things to the hospital to see my mother, telling her how satisfied they were with me. If Wanwan does anything wrong, we'll scold her and make her correct herself in time. Fu Xing Zhao, you can't just mention divorce because you're angry for a moment. Saying those two words between husband and wife hurts the most. Feelings? Do I have feelings with that idiot Shin Wanwan? Shen Wanwan, who had just stepped into the ward, heard my inner thoughts, every word. Her face darkened. My eyes were full of innocence, and I added in my heart, big idiot. Anyway, no matter how I scold her, only she can hear it. In her parents' eyes, I am the one who is wronged. Shen Wanwan had no way to explain, so she simply called me outside. She said, I can agree to anything except divorce. You can even agree to me keeping women outside? Fu Xing Zhao, let's get divorced as soon as possible, at least before I die. Give me some peace. Do you hate me that much? I really didn't expect Shen Wanwan to ask this question, but her expression at this moment was serious. She said, Fu Xing Zhao, shall we try again? I suspect Shen Wanwan has been driven mad by her parents. Otherwise, how could she utter such insane words? Did anything ever begin between her and me? Since nothing ever started, what is there to retry? In my heart, solemnly, word by word, I said to her, Shen Wanwan, I have never liked you. Even in the very beginning, I just wanted to live a peaceful life. It had nothing to do with love. While I'm still willing to part on good terms, let's go through with the divorce. If we drag this out, I wouldn't mind filing for divorce. If things get ugly, it's not just my reputation on the line anyway. Shin Wanwan was so angered by me that she sneered repeatedly, gritting her teeth. Fu Xing Zhao, I truly underestimated you. You flatter me. Just as Shin Wanwan was about to explode with anger, the caregiver rushed in anxiously and called out, Fu Xing Zhao. I looked up, met her gaze full of worry, and my heart skipped a beat. A bad premonition rippled through my heart like waves, spreading wider and wider. The caregiver urged me to hurry back to the ward. Your mother is failing. She's asking for you. It felt like a thunderbolt struck beside my ear, a buzzing sound filling my head. Fortunately, the caregiver supported me all the way, guiding me, so I could quickly return to the ward. Doctors and nurses had arrived, crowded in a circle. Shin Wanwan's parents also looked quite anxious. Her mother even tried to comfort me. Fu Xing Zhao, don't worry. We'll find the best doctors. We'll definitely be able to cure your mother. There was no cure. Our family is so wealthy, we can afford any medicine, hire the most expensive doctors. Only life and death cannot be changed. After a series of examinations, the doctor shook his head at us helplessly. At that moment, I seemed to hear my heart gently break apart. The doctors and nurses dispersed, and I saw my mother reach out to me. Instinctively and mechanically, I stepped forward and tremblingly took her hand. Fu Xing Zhao. My mother's voice became very soft, barely a whisper. Mom is leaving, don't cry. I wanted to listen to her, wanted her to leave in peace. But my tear ducts were completely out of my control, tears kept flowing out. My mother raised her other hand, wanted to wipe away my tears. But she was too weak. She only lifted it a little before it fell back down. Fu Xingzhao, don't cry. I nodded desperately, opening my mouth, trying to speak. I remembered that I could make sounds when I was little. I called out, Dad, called out, Mom. If I could call out Mom at this moment, would there be fewer regrets? But I couldn't shout. No matter how wide I opened my mouth, no sound came out. Until Shen Wanwan stepped forward and said softly to my mother, Fu Xingzhao wants to call you Mom. In my mother's cloudy eyes, a light suddenly shone. She smiled and nodded at me. Mom heard it. Then, she signaled everyone else to leave, leaving only Shen Wanwan and me. I thought she was going to tell Shen Wanwan to take good care of me in the future. But she took Shen Wanwan's hand and asked in a low voice, almost pleading, can you agree to divorce Fu Xingzhao? Shen Wanwan was stunned for a moment, her eyes turning to my face. I suddenly stopped crying, raising my hand to press against my chest. It hurt a lot, as if something inside had finally shattered completely. Before, my mother worried that I would be alone after she died, so she wanted to find someone to take care of me. Now, she worried that I would be bullied after she died, so she pleaded with Shen Wanwan to set me free. You agree to divorce Fu Xingzhao, okay? Shin Wanwan, perhaps unable to bear the pleading of a dying person, or perhaps out of a pang of conscience, finally agreed. My mother breathed a sigh of relief and touched my head. Fu Xingzhao, be yourself from now on and be happy. Okay, Mom's going to find Dad first. You come later and be our child again in the next life. Okay, Fu Xingzhao. In that final moment, I picked up my mother in my arms. She passed away in my arms. I held her hand, feeling the passing of her life little by little. Mom, I might have to disobey you one last time. I'm coming to find you and Dad soon. I woke up in a hospital room. Shin Wanwan was sitting by the bed. I didn't know how much time had passed. Seeing me lift the blanket, Shen Wanwan quickly said, I've already arranged for someone to take care of your mother's funeral. Don't worry. Get out. That one crisp word stunned Shen Wanwan. She suppressed her temper. Fu Xingzhao, I already promised your mother that I would divorce you. Can you tone down your hatred for me? I can't, unless you die. Shen Wanwan. Since the conversation was fruitless, she had no choice but to get up and go outside for a cigarette to calm down. When she came back, she saw me typing furiously on my phone. Shen Wanwan, keenly sensing something was amiss, he stretched out his long arm and snatched the phone from my hand. Looking at what I had typed, her eyes widened. Fu Xingzhao, do you have to do this? I said, if you don't agree to a divorce, I don't mind making a scene. I was preparing to issue a divorce statement. I didn't care if it would affect Shen Wanwan's reputation or the stock price of Shen's group. I was about to die anyway. Why should I care about other people's lives? Shen Wanwan stared at me for a long time, seeing no sign of me backing down. Finally, she sighed helplessly. Fu Xingzhao, I already promised your mother that I would divorce you. Don't mention my mother. If you hadn't gone to the hospital and said you didn't like me, how could she have been so affected and passed away so quickly? Shen Wanwan was stunned, then explained, I didn't say that. I went to the hospital to learn about your condition. Afterward, I figured I was already there, so I went to see your mother. I didn't say anything. My mother was too smart. She guessed from her words and actions. Shen Wanwan apologized to me. It was my fault. I should have told you beforehand. That way, at least I would have been prepared, and we could have coordinated our stories, so my mother wouldn't have been able to trick her words. My heart was full of resentment, but after thinking about it carefully, I felt like I should blame myself for everything. If I had said I didn't like Shen Wanwan earlier, if I hadn't swallowed my anger on our wedding day. Too many what-ifs. I'm so tired. The Shen family originally intended to hold a grand funeral for my mother. Later, according to my request, everything was simplified. After my mother was buried, I moved back to my own home. Gossip media followed Shen Wanwan and photographed her downstairs from my house several times, but she never entered. As a result, there was speculation from the outside world that our two families had fallen out and that she and I were about to divorce. This news caused the stock price of Shen's group to fall. Shin Wanwan's parents came to me, hoping I would move back. Fu Xingzhao, you have to consider us too. To be honest, Wanwan hasn't done anything to let you down. If our family collapses, what good will it do you? You're making such a fuss. Mom. Shen Wanwan rushed over and interrupted her mother. You go back first. Her parents were very dissatisfied, their faces cold and stiff. Shen Wanwan looked back at me, realizing I was sitting there unmoving. In my heart, there wasn't a single sound. Suddenly, she felt a little scared and came forward to ask me, Fu Xingzhao, how about I take you out for a walk? Since moving back, I haven't been out for more than half a month. In such a big house, only I live here. I can't speak, and no one speaks to me. I let myself sink down in this silent world. Shen Wanwan ignored her parents and took me outside. After getting in the car, she asked me, Is there any place you want to go? I looked at the sunlight outside the car, so warm. The blood that had almost died in my body seemed to suddenly come alive. I said in my heart, I want to go to the mall. Shen Wanwan nodded. She knew that I definitely wasn't in the mood for shopping at this moment, but she still did as I said. I bought a decent suit. Shen Wanwan gradually guessed that I wanted to dress myself up and see my parents in the best possible way. When we arrived at the cemetery, the sunset was just right. The colorful sunset glow in the sky plated the tombstones with a layer of golden yellow. I stood in front of the tomb and gently turned around. At the same time, I asked in my heart, Mom and Dad, do I look good today? Like that birthday, when I was little, you were both still here, and I was also wearing a tuxedo. If I come to see you like this, you will definitely recognize me, right? It's so tiring to live alone. I miss you so much. Shen Wanwan stood behind me. She could hear every word I said in my heart. I wasn't afraid of her hearing it either. At this point, I didn't care about anything anymore. But Shen Wanwan didn't want to care. She came forward and hugged me from behind. Her hoarse voice seemed to be trying to restrain something. Fu Xingzhao, there's news from the hospital. They found a suitable match. As long as you have the transplant surgery, you can live well. There's no need. But didn't you say that you don't want to be a ghost of our Shun family after you die? I asked the hospital to schedule the surgery a month later. Let's go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to complete the procedures first, and after you have the surgery, we can get the divorce certificate. Such conditions are actually very tempting. At least before my mother died, I would have agreed without hesitation. But now, I don't want to keep living at all. I can endure the physical torment, but the pain in my heart seems to devour everything. Shen Wanwan, I'm tired. Then I beg you, please agree to have the surgery, okay? I still shook my head. A cold liquid suddenly hit my neck, followed by Shen Wanwan's increasingly hoarse voice. Your parents also want you to live well. Just think of it as being for them, not for me, okay? We can get the divorce certificate first, and then you can go into the operating room. Fu Xingzhao. Okay. The day we got the divorce certificate, Shen Wanwan seemed to be in a very good mood. She wore a brand new dress. She looked down at the little booklet in her hand, then looked up at me and said, Let me take you to the hospital. I shook my head, but she insisted on taking me to the hospital. We agreed that you'd go straight into the operating room after getting the divorce certificate. If I don't want you go in, what if you run away halfway? I didn't respond. I don't know why, but I had a strange feeling in my heart today. Shen Wanwan seemed relaxed the whole time, but the aura she exuded was inexplicably heavy. When we arrived at the hospital, everything was ready. Shen Wanwan followed me all the way to the operating room door. Before I went in, she leaned down and said, Fu Xingzhao, don't be afraid. Everything will be all right. I wasn't afraid at all. She looked like the one who was more scared. Maybe Su Yi's words that morning had awakened her. Maybe feelings really do grow over time. But it was too late, all too late. My surgery was successful. Before I was discharged from the hospital, a lawyer from Shun's group came to see me and asked me to sign some documents. It was compensation that Shen Wanwan had voluntarily requested after the divorce. Converted, it was almost half of the money my family had initially invested. The lawyer said that this was the maximum compensation that Shen Wanwan could give me within her capabilities. Shen Wanwan did not appear. For a very, very long time afterward, she neither appeared in front of me nor in the public eye. Shen Wanwan's parents became much more low-key, and even when gossip media asked about Shen Wanwan's affairs in person, they avoided talking about it. I converted all of my family's assets into account balances. Then I left. The weather that day was terrible. It kept raining. I stood in front of the glass curtain wall of the airport, watching the rain outside, and suddenly saw a familiar figure in the reflection. But when I turned to look, all I saw in the crowd were unfamiliar faces. They were all rushing, heading towards a better life, too busy to remember the road they came from. 2 years later, Lunar New Year, Shen Wanwan, who hadn't been seen for a long time, posted an update on social media. Happy New Year. The accompanying picture was a background photo of an airport. But in the photo, besides the glass, there was no one. It seemed like everyone didn't know who she was wishing a Happy New Year to. Or maybe they all knew. Many likes, but no comments. After posting the update, Shin Wanwan was about to put down her phone when a strange phone call came in. The number's location showed it was from overseas. After the call was connected, there was a long silence on the other end. Then a voice came, Happy New Year. Not a thought, but a voice truly coming from the throat, as beautiful as heavenly music. Shin Wanwan didn't reply, and the other side hung up quickly. But this day became the happiest New Year in Shen Wanwan's life. She said, Happy New Year. Fu Xingzhao, may you also be happy.